I moan a lot about judges, but the judge today attempted to defend free speech. The prosecution, the state, wished to impose conditions which, as he said, his words, not mine, curtail free speech. They wanted to be able to gag me totally so that I could not discuss anything about this case. But they also, my bail conditions would have meant that if you discussed anything about this case, they could essentially hold me on remand in prison. So the judge said it was too wide-ranging. He didn't agree with it, and then he told the prosecution you need to reevaluate what you're asking for because it is a curtailment of free speech. So yeah, and then I've been given now the opportunity to have a jury trial. I've never had that. Go and read my conviction list, yeah? What they do every time, and the state did it again today, what they do every time is they drop it, they charge you, and then they drop it so that you can't have a jury trial. And the state said, we don't want it to go to a jury trial today. We're happy and content for it to be heard at the lesser charge. So you have different grades of this charge that they've charged me with. We're happy for it to be at a lesser level because then you don't get a jury. But then the judge gave me the option of what I want. I said I want to be tried by 12 members of the British public. I want them to hear the evidence in this case. I want them to see the behaviour of what's happened to me, the way that the mainstream media have behaved in this. He did give me conditions. So he has given me conditions which I don't want to breach, which still do curtail my speech, but he didn't want them to totally curtail it. So yeah, I don't...
Tell me, what are your conditions?
My conditions are not to mention the names of these individuals. My conditions are not to go into, I believe, details of what's happened. It's exactly, I thought I'd come out of here and might be able to tell people, or explain to people what's gone on. Yeah. So if I wasn't able to do that, which I'm now not, then the cameras in my face now from the establishment media will today run headlines across the country which will imply something that hasn't happened. So then they win anyway. So you're in a war where they'll attack you with their lies, they'll attack you with their smears, they'll attack you with your time. Your time is spent fighting. They said, so now we go to Crown Court on the 3rd of July at Southwark. They believe it will be shifted to the Old Bailey, which is insane. There'll probably be 30 murder trials plus me for asking journalists some questions. I think the reality is, when you turn that camera on the mainstream media, they don't like what they see. And that's all I've attempted to do is say, oh yeah, I'm going to ask you some questions now. And they don't want to be asked questions. And do you know why they don't want to ask questions? Because they have never been asked questions. They have acted with impunity. They've lied, they've smeared, they've attacked. But everyone knows they've lied. I was looking up prior to this at the trust in media across the whole of the European nations, yeah, all the European countries. Britain, the British public, have the least trust. Not the former communist states, yeah, where they know that the media lie, but the British public are now totally awake to the bullshit being fed to them, and their ability to spoon feed their narrative into the public is gone due to, look around you at these cameras, look, due to these cameras, yeah. These cameras, social media, I think if you're sitting at home in the public and you're wondering what role you have to play in what's currently happening, which is a mass awakening of populism, of nationalism, of pride, of patriotism, and it's a tidal wave that they can't stop. If you want to know what role you can play, you just need to share. You need to talk. You need to not curtail your speech. You need to speak freely about all these issues. And unfortunately, they wish to put people like me on trial. I'm on trial for guilty of two things, is being a decade ahead and talking about the issues a decade before. And the people who attacked me for discussing these options, these problems, are now sitting on mainstream TV shows acting like they're bringing it to light. I was saying, hold on a minute. You've crucified us. You've attacked us. But the establishment control the media. They don't want us having a voice. I have to be careful what I say, but we will now have the opportunity to have a Crown Court trial where, thankfully, due to citizen journalism, it won't just be the Daily Mail or the BBC sitting in court. It will be 20 upcoming, rising citizen journalists who are building their own mass followings, who are taking the war, because we're at war, it's a propaganda war being fed, being waged against us by the establishment and the controlled media. And there's a war going on, and the way we fight back is through citizen journalism, and it's good times.
How many days have been set aside for the trial, and are you looking forward for the first time to be going before a jury?
Do you know what? When they come in with these charges when I was in custody, I thought, I need a bit of a break from it. But then I can get myself in the mindset of I have to take every opportunity. As a journalist, I took the opportunity of going to prison. I thought, I'm a journalist. Do you know how many stories I've got to tell from prison? Yeah. They give me the education, they give me the opportunity to make contact, to make inroads, to understand what's happening in the prison system. I'm going to take this opportunity to put the establishment media and their behaviour and their morality on trial for the British public.
In a dramatic confrontation with the justice system and the legacy media, political activist and citizen journalist Tommy Robinson delivered a fiery statement to reporters this week, criticizing what he called a coordinated effort by establishment, aligned outlets to silence dissent and crush independent journalism. The comments came shortly after a judge ruled in Robinson's favor, rejecting a set of proposed bail conditions that critics say would have amounted to a de facto gag order. The mainstream media don't like being on the other side of the lens, Robinson declared, flanked by supporters. They're arms of the establishment, and they'll do everything they can to shut down voices that challenge their narrative. Robinson's remarks struck a chord with growing segments of the public, disillusioned with traditional news organizations, who see the rise of independent reporting and live-streamed accountability journalism as a necessary counterbalance to what many perceive as institutional bias. This sentiment was echoed in the courtroom, where the presiding judge emphasized the need to protect freedom of expression, even in cases involving contentious figures or politically charged speech. The prosecution had sought to impose a broad set of bail conditions that would have barred Robinson from discussing elements of his case publicly or from participating in any reporting activities related to ongoing legal proceedings. Critics warned this could create a chilling effect on citizen journalists, whose very purpose is to expose power structures operating outside the public view. The judge, however, pushed back, calling the proposed conditions disproportionate and warning they could infringe on the fundamental right to free speech. If the conditions sought were granted, the judge noted, they risk suppressing legitimate public discourse and would set a concerning precedent. This legal decision is being hailed as a rare victory for independent media advocates. Free speech groups and watchdog organizations have long cautioned against the increasing use of legal tools to suppress unfavorable coverage, particularly when wielded against non-traditional journalists. But the broader implications go beyond one man's court case. At the heart of this legal saga is a cultural clash between an establishment that once monopolized the flow of information and a new wave of decentralized reporting powered by smartphones, live streams, and direct-to-audience platforms, live streams, and direct. It's a clash over who gets to define the narrative and who gets silenced when that narrative is inconvenient. Robinson, a deeply polarizing figure whose confrontational tactics and criminal record have drawn criticism from both the left and right, remains defiant. "We are the media now," he said. "The days of blind trust in legacy outlets are over." Whether one views Robinson as a principled crusader for transparency or as a provocateur with a persecution complex, the legal questions raised in his case are undeniably significant. In a digital era where the definition of journalist is evolving, and where governments and institutions are increasingly tempted to regulate speech under the guise of public order, the battle over who holds the camera may prove just as important as who is on trial. As the courts continue to grapple with these questions, the public will be watching, not through the lens of the BBC or Sky News, but through the unfiltered glare of handheld cameras, live feeds, and citizen broadcasts. The establishment may not like it, but the media landscape is changing, and this courtroom skirmish may be just the beginning. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, drop your thoughts in the comments below. I hear from you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. And for uncensored updates behind the scenes content and breaking news alerts, make sure to join our Telegram channel. The link's in the description.